It's not me. It's the message. It's the message. It really is. It's the message. But they have the cameras. Look, live cameras. CNN, Fox, everybody. MSNBC, everyone. And they have live cameras, but they don't ever scan the room. Because if they scan the room, what happens is you'll see this kind of outpouring, and it's an outpouring of love. It really is. It's an outpouring of love. Scan the room. Go ahead, folks. We got time. Look, they don't want to move. Unbelievable. Oh, it's the thing I've learned most. And somebody said, what have you learned the most? Thank you, darling. I love you too. You know, they said, what have you learned the most? What's been the biggest surprise? And one, and I can't say about all journalists and all of the media, but a tremendous portion of the media it's so dishonest. It really is dishonest. They don't report the facts. Now, for some people, they report more than the facts. I have to be honest. You know, they have their total prejudice. And for some people, they report things that are opposite. I mean, literally opposite of what I'm talking about. We had one case recently where we were actually in New Hampshire. We had 5,000 people. We had packed. And this was in a small auditorium. And then they had another one next door. And then they had the kitchen. It was in a school. People filling the kitchen with closed circuit. And then Hillary, she was a few miles literally up the road. And she had, they said, 250 people. We had thousands and thousands of people. We had a crowd like this. No, it's crazy. Crazy. And then I come back, and the next morning she was on the front page of the New York Times. I said, what about me? What about me? But it doesn't matter because everybody understands it. We understand it. We understand what's happening. And believe me, this is a movement. This is a movement. This is really a movement, and it's a big movement and a strong movement, and we're going to take our country back. It's going to happen. So, I love polls. You know, when I did The Apprentice, I loved ratings because I always had, right? And what happened is I said to the people at NBC, who are terrific people, I had a great relationship with them. Of course, in the end, they thought I was too controversial, so they did a number on Miss Universe. So what I did is I bought them out for peanuts and then flipped the whole thing. It was such a great deal. You would have been so proud of me. You would have been so proud of me. Oh, the deal. Oh, the art of the deal, there's nothing like it. But with The Apprentice, it was 14 years, 14 seasons, like 12 years. Did so great. Always did great. One of the easiest sells for advertising. So they came up to see me, including the head of Comcast, Steve Burke, who's actually a fantastic guy, head of Comcast, head of NBC, head of reality for NBC. A group of guys, they came up to see me just before I announced I was going to run for president. And they said, Donald, we'd love you to renew. And Mark Burnett called, please renew, please renew. Everybody renews. Nobody doesn't renew. Big actors, big stars, they renew. I said, Mark, I'm not. I'm going to run for president. We're going to make our country great again. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And NBC didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. Nobody believed me. Nobody thought I was going to run. They said, why would he run? He's got a great life. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a great company. Don't forget, when I filed, everyone said, well, maybe he won't file. Maybe he's not as big as we thought. Turned out I'm much bigger. When I filed, they couldn't believe the numbers. In fact, I was going to file even if I didn't run. I'll be honest with you. And I thought, you know, because it's all been sort of interesting. And it takes guts to run for president. It really does. It does. Because, you know, you have everybody shooting. I've never done it before. I've never been a politician. I hate to even say I'm a politician. I hate using the expression. I actually keep saying I'm in the real estate business. I just can't get over the politicians. I can't do it. I've made so much money. I've made a fortune dealing with politicians. And, you know, they're all talk. They're no action. They're never going to bring us to the promised land. It's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So with NBC, Steve Burke, the guys that came in, and they really want me to do it. I said, no, no. And then they said, well, we think you're going to do it, because I wasn't 100% sure. You know, that final day, I told my wife, man, this is not so easy. And I took a deep breath, right? Sometimes we have to do that in life. And it's really, you know, I've never told this story before. I've so many speeches, so many people. I've never told it. I took a deep breath, and I got on that escalator. You know the famous escalator? Very famous scene where Melania is waving very gently, and I'm going, "Grr." But the truth is, I took a deep breath because it's something that I've never done before. It's a new experience. And it does. You know, for a politician, it doesn't take guts. That's all they do is they run for office. They run and again and run. They win, they lose. Doesn't matter. All they do is run. And what they care about and what they're good at is getting reelected. And we can't have that. We can't have it. We can't have it. And I told that to the folks at NBC. I told that to the folks at Comcast, great companies. I mean, great friends of mine, great people. In fact, so great that I'm doing Saturday Night Live in 2 weeks. Can you believe this? Can you believe it? I'm looking at these folks back here. There's got to be a big hole right in the middle. What is that? I think it's an orchestra pit or something, because I see everybody gathered around a circle. But we're doing something that we did 60 Minutes, as you know, 2 weeks ago. Who was I on with at 60 Minutes? You remember? Putin. He was my stablemate. We got tremendous ratings, him and I. I didn't know who got the ratings, but we got great ratings. They were very happy. So we did 60 Minutes. We're doing Saturday Night Live. But NBC said, no, you're not going to run. You're not going to run. And they renewed the show. Renewed it with me. I said, what are you doing? They said, well, you looked a little bit indecisive. We're renewing the show. And they went to the upfronts, and they announced The Apprentice starring Donald Trump. I said, fellas, I'm telling you I'm going to run. Well, we don't think so. And I said, I'm running. And by the way, we then got Arnold Schwarzenegger to do it. How do you like that idea? What do you think? Okay. I hope he does well. I have a big piece of the show. I hope he does well. He's going to do well. But Arnold is going to do it. But, you know, it just shows you that when you do this, I give up a lot. Not just The Apprentice. Deals all over the world. They come in, Mr. Trump, we're doing a deal in China, but you have to be there. I said, I can't be there. I can't be. Would it be okay if I went to China for a few days? You know, the trip, you know how long it is? It's like 24 hours. So you go back, you go forth, you stay there, let's say for a day. I'm gone for 3 days, all right? And it's weird. You say, what time is it? Well, if it's 6 o'clock now, it's 6 o'clock there, but the exact opposite. I said, that's a long time, 12 hours and 20 hours in some cases. So you get back, you don't know where. No, I gave up a lot. I gave up a lot because it's something I want to do. I've wanted to do it. I've thought about it. Last time, we should have won. Romney should have won. He choked. I mean, he choked. No different than a football player dropping the... I don't want to mention that. Let's not give your people... I don't want to give your people at Clemson any bad thoughts. But no different than an athlete. No different. Something happened. A nice man, he's a nice man, but something happened that was not good. Not good for us. And I wasn't happy about it. Because that last month, they all disappeared. They weren't fighting. Say what you want about Obama. He was on Jay Leno. He was on Letterman. He was on every show. I said, where are you people? What happened? Where are you? And they weren't there. Something happened. They disappeared. And it's not going to happen again, folks. I'll tell you right now. Not going to happen again. So they said, just like as I said with The Apprentice, with the ratings, well, I love the polls. Say, well, other people don't talk about polls. You know why? Because they're doing lousy in the polls, okay? But we're doing great. So here's a poll that came out just recently. Trump in South Carolina. Did you ever hear of a place called South Carolina? Huh? Right? South Carolina, Trump, #1 by a lot, by 18 points. Can you believe it? We're at 36. We're at 36. And your sitting senator, I don't want to mention it, but he says such terrible things. So nasty. He's at 5. We're at 36. But we have an 18-point lead over the second place. Amazing. In Ohio, You have a nice governor in Ohio, Kasich. We're at 23, and the governor of Ohio is at 13, which is, you know, pretty amazing when you think, right? And he's a good governor. In New Jersey just came out, we're at 13. No, I'm sorry, we're at 32. When I said 13, I said, what happened? What happened? No, in New Jersey, we're at 32. Carson's at 13. And Christie, the governor of New Jersey, is at 5. In Nevada, we're number 1 by a lot. We're at 38. And we're number 1 by a lot with Hispanics. We're in the 30s with Hispanics. Because I'm going to win. We're going to win the Hispanic vote. You know, we have great relationships with the Hispanics. I employ thousands of Hispanics, and they're great people. And I love Mexico. The problem is their leaders are too smart, too cunning for our leaders. You know, they rip us, and we can't let that happen. In Ohio, I mean, so amazing. In Florida, we're way up. In New Hampshire, we're at 32, and everybody else is way, way down in the teens and far below that. And then we had a national poll where OAN, we're at 35. Carson is at 17. That's in second place. And my favorability has moved up to 67, which they say is like a record. I don't know why. You know? They don't know I'm actually a nice person. And just to finish this, Connecticut, I'm at 34. Second place is 14. Let's have this election immediately. That's the Quinnipiac. Let's get it going. Here's one that I loved. Here's one. I love this one. This came out yesterday. Shocking poll, shock poll. Trump blue-collar support, highest since FDR. That's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, think of it. I kid you not. Here, for the cameras. Get that, cameras. Highest since FDR in the 1930s. Can you believe that? FDR. That's good. That's a good sign. And you know why? Because they know that we love China, right? We love China. Not going to happen anymore. Not going to happen anymore with China. Not going to happen anymore with Japan. Not going to happen anymore with Vietnam. Vietnam is the new China. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to make our own stuff. We're going to bring them back. I mean, we all love Boeing, right? Do we love Boeing? But Boeing made a plane order recently, 300 planes for China. China's making them build a massive, massive plant in China. Why? We're not doing that. When they send their stuff over here, and by the way, I know so much about China. The largest bank in the world is my tenant. I sell apartments for $25, $30, $35 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I love them. But Boeing now is going to have to build a plant over in China. I don't think that's right. No, I don't think it's right. They're building a massive plant in China. So it's tough. Now, just to finish with what we started. So they break down. You know all these guys? All of the candidates, they have pollsters. You know what a pollster is? That's a person that gets $100,000 a month to tell the candidates what to do, right? If they're so good, why aren't they running for office? You know, when you think. But some of these guys make a fortune, and they're tough, and they're smart. And I think they scare the candidates. I don't want a candidate that could be scared by a pollster, right? You know, they pay them a lot. You shouldn't have said that. I mean, I've seen it. You shouldn't have said that today in South Carolina. You have to say this. Well, I don't really believe in that. Doesn't matter. You have to say that. You want to get elected. Who wants this stuff? You know what? If you can't get elected, you can't. You got to do what's right. So I said, I have known, you know, somebody said the other day, Mr. Trump has spent less money than any other candidate, but he's got the best results. No, think of it. It's true. It's true. I've spent less money. I have far more money. You know, all these guys, they say, so-and-so raised $3 million today. So-and-so raised $5 million for the month. I got $1 billion. If I have to spend it, we'll spend it. I got much more than that, but I don't want to go totally crazy. And it's going to take us through the primary season, and I don't think, you know, so far I'm way under budget. Nice to be under budget. You don't hear that about government. But think, I thought up until this time, I would have about $20 million spent. I spent like peanuts, a tiny fraction. But I thought I'd have 15 or 18 or 20 spent on advertising. But I'm getting so much. Look at all those cameras. They're all live. No, it's unbelievable. All right. So every time I make a speech, I have all these cameras. Other guys have nobody. They have the local reporter. Here's the problem. You have to make a different speech every time, because when you're on live television, how can you make the same speech every time? So it's, not so great. But what happens, and it's to me amazing, when you're on a show from beginning to end, and then you're on the next show from beginning to end, a little different subject, like this much different. Then you have the next one. Then you turn to another network, and it's Trump, CNN, all Trump all the time. You can't advertise because people would OD on Trump. They get sick. They go and throw up all over. It's too much. It's true. So what happens, it's true. You got a whole thing. They did a thing the other day in one of the networks, and it was like the first 15 minutes. They go about 15, 18 minutes, and then they hit you with the commercials, right? And they did a thing on Trump with this and that. It's all fine. And then they said, all right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. More Trump. We're going to be discussing like a different subject. I said, what? In fact, I like to TiVo it, right? It's impossible to watch because it's so voluminous. Normally you'd have like a minute here, a minute there. But you got 1 hour here, 1 hour there. After like 3 hours, you've watched 2.5 shows. You can't do it. So if I advertised, it's too much. Do we agree? Too much. So we'll save the money, give it to charity. We'll do something, right? We'll do something. But it's the weirdest thing. So I thought I'd have 20 million spent by about today. And we spent nothing. We've actually spent zero on advertising. Now, you take a Jeb Bush. He's in favor of Common Core. He's weak on immigration. And so are most of them. Hey, Marco Rubio, very weak on immigration. Remember the Gang of Eight? You know what the Gang of Eight said? And the Gang of Eight, a lot of Democrats in there, liberal Democrats, the Gang of Eight said, oh, let him come in, let him come in. Well, his poll numbers tanked, and he immediately all of a sudden got away from the Gang of Eight. That's what, you don't want that because that's false. That's a false messenger. It's really a false messenger. Gang of Eight. What? Oh, medic. Oh, go ahead. Take that. That's more important than all of this. Go ahead. A medic. Hopefully they're okay. Are they okay? They're okay? Oh, she just fainted. You know what? That means she was excited. That's okay. Make sure she's good. Those are my best fans. The ones that faint, I love the most. That's fine. Okay, everything good over there? Okay, take your time. Take your time. Make sure she's perfect. I noticed they have a couple of ambulances right outside just in case. But that's great. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too, but I love her, and I want to make sure she's okay. Is she okay? All right, good. I think they're going to be fine. Everything good? Let's get going then. So in the poll, they have, first choice is Trump by a lot. They have on the economy, pretty important, right? Trump, 67. No, how do you do that? 67. Don't forget, that's with 16 people. We had 17, but as you know, Governor Perry dropped out. And a couple of others dropped out too. So we're actually down to 15, 16. I don't even count. So many people. You go on stage, you got all these people. You don't even know who they are. But on the economy, and you have Governor Walker dropped out, a very nice guy too. Both nice people. Although they tried to kill me, they tried to get me. On the economy,